Alright, welcome back to the Crimsonsith channel. Today we're going to be talking about a new ship from the X-Wing game that released in Wave 12 and 13. And perhaps the ship I'm most excited about in this wave, to be honest. Comes with a lot of interesting upgrades, and it's an interesting ship with a very interesting mechanic. It is the Kimogila. It has a long thing in the front, but it's essentially the Kimogila fighter. It is for the Scum faction. And this ship, I really like it because it looks like a true starfighter, like a fighter. It's flying around, has the wings kind of looking intimidating, has the big guns, and essentially just is a big gun. It's a big engine and a big gun with two wings. Because, I mean, this is it front facing. That's the back facing over there. And there's the side face. It's a fairly pretty ship. Looks like very sci-fi-y. But, yeah. I want to talk about the bullseye firing arc first. It has a regular firing arc, but then within that, in the middle, there's a bullseye firing arc. It is the exact width of the standard range ruler that is used in the game. So you can essentially measure the width with the range ruler, which is nice. But within this area of effect, when someone is defending against this particular ship, so let's say that front ship is firing at an enemy. If the enemy is within its firing arc and the bullseye firing arc at range 1 through 3, that ship, when it is defending, cannot spend focus or evade tokens to modify its defense. So I think that's super good. I know it's going to be hard to get people in that arc, but it's still super good just for that. Alright, starting off, let's look at the stat lines. Starting off with the base pilot, the Cartel Brute, comes in for 22 points. It's a 3 pilot skill. This ship has a torpedo, a missile, an illicit, and the Scum Astromech slot. And stat line is 3 attack, 1 agility, 6 hull, 2 shields. Pretty beefy. Got 8 hull and shields there. Action bar, standard focus and target lock. And we have a barrel roll, very good for getting people in that arc. And then we have the new action, the reload action. Talked about this in my video for the new Imperial ship. What that does is allows you to take a weapons disabled token, and if you do, you can flip over one of your ordnance tokens, or ordnance cards, sorry. So your torpedo, your missile that you spent, you can get it back. So I think that's very interesting action. I debated in the other video whether or not I thought it was worth it. For this ship, I don't know if it's worth it or not. It's circumstantial. Definitely worth it on the Imperial ship, the new one, but I'm not sure about this one. Next up, the Cartel Executioner. Same stats, but notice he has an EPT slot, which is very nice. No ability, but he comes in at 24 points, which is hardly an increase. Oh, and his pilot skill is a 5. So 2 points to increase by 2 and get an EPT. I think it's worth it. Dylan Obros is the next one. Pilot skill 7. Point cost 25. Also has an EPT. His ability is at the start of the combat phase, you may acquire a target lock on an enemy ship inside your bullseye firing arc at range 1 through 3. That is awesome. Anything that gives you free actions is a bonus. And anything that can carry ordnance and is to get a free target lock, that's even better. So I really like this ship. I think it's a really good effect. And he's moving later, so with VI, he could be a 9, move behind someone, and then you know whether or not you're going to get your free target lock, so then you can choose to focus or something like that. Or you better position yourself barrel roll if you notice that they're still going to be in arc, or to put them in arc of the center arc. So I really like this ship. It's only 25 points, so for 1 extra point you jump up 2 pilot skill, and you keep the EPT, and you get an ability. So the point efficiency is amazing right there. Next up is the 8 pilot skill, Torani Kulda. 27 points, so we're jumping up 2 here, but he is pretty good. After you perform an attack, each enemy ship inside your bullseye firing arc at range 1 through 3 must choose to suffer 1 damage or remove all of its focus and evade tokens. And notice that is each enemy ship. Each enemy ship. So if you got a whole bunch lined up in there, they're either all losing their tokens or they are all taking a damage. That's pretty good. That's why he's 27 points. And he still has that EPT slot. I mean, he jumps up by 2, but I think it's worth it. I'm burping. It's reasonable. Now this ship, once again, this pack is amazing, not only because of the ship, because of the upgrade cards. So I'm going to jump over those. I got one that's we've seen before, so I'm going to just go to that first. Plasma torpedoes, we've seen it before. Just get out of the way. There's one copy in here. It's always a good missile. I always welcome having another copy of this card. 3 points. Sorry. Attack value of 4. Range 2 through 3. Its attack needs a target lock. You spend your target lock and discard the card. If this attack hits, after dealing damage, remove 1 shield token from the defender. So it's a nice way if someone has like a ton of shields to clear them. Anyway, always a good torpedo. It's always nice to have another copy. Let's go into the title though. The Enforcer is the title for the Kimogila. Is 1 point and says, after defending, if the attacker is inside your bullseye firing arc, it receives 1 stress token. So not only could you be stripping them of all their actions or keeping them from using their actions, but you can also give them a stress token. And for 1 point, why not? Giving stress is good. It's always been a good mechanic. It will always be a good mechanic. So I don't know if it's super useful in the way it applies it, but it's 1 point, so why not throw it in a list? Next is Dead Man Switch. We've seen this one before. 2 point cost. If you blow up, each ship at range 1 suffers the damage. It's an illicit. This card I am excited about. Contraband Cybernetics. I am super excited about this card. I wasn't before, but I've just come up with a bunch of list options with this card. There are almost limitless possibilities. It's an illicit, it's only 1 point, because it's a one-time use. When you become the active ship during the activation phase, you may discard this card and receive 1 stress token. If you do, until the end of the round, you may perform actions and red maneuvers even while you are stressed. You might say, oh, that's not super good. And on the surface, it's not. There's a lot of chain effects and a lot of things that you can do that you normally wouldn't be able to do. Because if you think about it, it's just, you could be stressed, you could be jammed. Well, actually, maybe the jam thing doesn't work. You could be really stressed and then, still do actions, or you could not be stressed and do a K turn and you want to take an action still. And damn, what was the other option? I figured out something, that there's some way you can chain something to get like another action in there too. There's another way, I think. But anyway, solid thing for an illicit slot, and it makes Jabba the Hutt, the crew that allows you to basically get an extra of each one of your illicits, that much better. And each one of these packs comes with 2 of these, so I think that's super awesome. I bought 3 of these ships, obviously, so I got 6 of those cards. I'm super excited about that. Next up is another interesting card. It's one of those scum astromech things. R5 TK. And this is a throwback to an old TK reference. It has 2 effects. It says you can acquire target locks on friendly ships, and then it's separated by a space, so it's a separate effect. It says you can't attack friendly ships. And he has 0 point cost. Now, there's not a ton of ways to use him, but it's interesting. Scum has illicit slots, so they have a lot of scavenger cranes. So maybe you have a ship that's 1 haul, you just want to kill them. I saw this, being the most likely use of the card. TK, by the way, is an old throwback reference to Team Kill. So I believe that's why he's called R5 TK, because in lore there is no R5 TK. They made him up for the game, so I think TK is a reference to Team Kill. But super interesting. It creates options, and I like any card that does that, especially when it's free. So if you got the slot, throw it in there, right? And there is a chance that Rebels can use it, because the Havoc title with that ship that's both Rebel and Scum, they can take these kind of astromechs. So interesting. A next one is Scrambler Missiles. This is a new card that is only in this pack, just like Cybernetics. It's a brand new missile. It costs 2 points, pretty cheap. It has 3 attack. It works in range 2 through 3. You need a target lock, and it discards the attack. You discard the card, not the target lock, to perform the attack. It says, if this attack hits, the defender and each other ship at range 1 receives 1 jam token, then cancel all results. So it doesn't do any damage, but it gives out a lot of jam tokens. And this is what I was talking about with the other jam effect in the other video, is because there's a jam cannon out too. So what if you fired multiple scrambler missiles into a bunch of people? If they do indeed stack, and they do indeed stay until the opponent clears them by giving them, feeding them actions, you could have ships that don't have actions for a long time. I believe personally that they should stack, and that they should stay until their removal requirement is fulfilled. But I guess we'll see how they FAQ it. If they even feel like they need to, because I feel like it is fairly clear that jam tokens should only clear when you, because it says jam tokens clear when the opponent has a focus, evade, or blue target lock token on their ship, and then they lose that token. The blue target lock token, the focus, or the evade. So in that sense, it basically keeps you from having actions for a while. So I know this thing doesn't do any damage, but you could potentially debilitate a person's entire list if you fired a couple of these, and they're really cheap. So you could spend your salvo not doing damage and just nuking them for actions. And against an ordnance list that has a lower pilot skill, I think this would be great, because there are a lot of ships that rely on actions, and you could take it off of them. You could take their action off of them and then stack these tokens and then keep them from having future actions. So not only could you keep them from firing a heavy missile against you, but you could also keep them from firing that for several turns. And for that, I think in the right list, Scrambler missiles could be good. Next up, like I said, this list comes, or this card comes in a few packs. Comes with the Imperial ship too, Saturation Salvo. This pack comes with 2 though, not just 1. And it says, after you perform an attack with a torpedo or missile secondary weapon, if it does not hit, each ship at range 1 of the defender with an agility value lower than the squad point cost of the torpedo or missile. Upgrade card, you must roll 1 attack dice and suffer all damage and critical damage rolled. It has an EPT at 1 point cost. I think it's an okay upgrade, but I personally think it should be 0 point cost just because you already have to pay a lot for ordnance and sometimes pay a lot to support ordnance. And you have to miss for it to be useful. So, I don't know. And there's a lot of other good EPTs out there that assist ordnance. So you're using a prime slot for a card that is the same cost as many other cards that help it hit. And you're only helping yourself if you miss. So for that reason, I don't like it. Anyway, dial. Forgot to go over that earlier. Anyway, we have the dial. We have a red hard 1, a white slight 1, a green straight. Then we have another hard red with the 2. Then we have a 2 green slight, 2 straight green. There's the white maneuvers and the white hards. 3. I am a fan of the 3 hard. And then a 3 slight, green 3 straight, 4 K-turn, and then we're back. Anyway, it's not the best dial in the world, obviously. But, it's not, it could be worse, I guess. The reason why I bought 3 of these things is because I saw them as potentially being very menacing ordnance carriers. You could easily have 3 of these things as, with pretty good pilot skill and heavily loaded out with missiles, maybe even extra munitions. Not that you need it, since you can reload, but I mean, just not having to do that reload action until the last possible moment, I think, is good. Plus, there's so many different upgrade options for these ships that you have the points then still to load them up. I mean, you could probably, I guess, try to fit 4 in there, but it'd be so watered down it wouldn't be worth it. And their bullseye firing arcs make them so much better for firing ordnance because then they can't spend their focus or evade tokens to block your shot. And a lot of times that's what makes ordnance lists miss, is the focus or evade that they might have. So it's like, oh, I got you lined up really good in my arc, you're dead. And with so many pilots that give them free target locks and free other things, I'd say just boost them up to pilot skill 9 and 10 and 7 or whatever with the 5 and go to town. So here's a look at all the ships that I bought from the Wave. Wow, that thing is so big over here. Yeah, love them all. But my favorite out of these, out of this wave, the combined 12 and 13 wave, I think is the Kimogila, just because of the cost versus what you get. I think out of the wave, the 2 most cost-effective packs were probably the Rebel ship and this ship. But I think this ship just beats it, for me, a little better because it has a bunch of cards that you can only get in this pack. And I'm a little biased because I love Scum, but yeah. But If you're a Scum player, I'd say this ship is a must. Buy at least one so you have contraband cybernetics. But if you like this ship, buy 3. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe like I said, but please comment for suggestions because I like to do suggested videos. And a lot of people are surprised when I actually have their video as the next one. And tell your friends. Comment in your local groups with my videos because I'm going to be doing reviews on all the packs. And sometimes I get packs early. If you look at my Guns for Hire video, I did an unboxing video for that. And it came out, well, I released that video like, what, a month before the pack came out. This one I was a little behind on, but sometimes I do unboxings before the product releases. So stay tuned for more videos like that. And again, like I said, in your local groups, if you have a Facebook X1 group, I would super appreciate it if you were to share my video and get the word out. Alright, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for way more content.